Hey guys, welcome back to Inc. Today we carry on our conversation of how people take a passion to a paycheck. Today in conversation I have my friend Lloyd Ashley, who I grew up playing rugby with. Needless to say, Lloyd is a lot better than I am at rugby and today plays for the Ospreys. In our conversation we look at how Lloyd took rugby from a passion and a hobby to playing professionally for country and club. Check out the conversation and as always, like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.
All right, how's it going? Welcome to today's episode from Inc. We've all had one of those days where you feel like you don't matter. Everything's going wrong and no one is there to listen or relate. But here at Inc, you do matter, and here we can relate. Because for all of us, there's always a something, a one thing, or many things that can really affect the way we think and feel. We hope that today's conversation brings a little bit of hope to your day. And do make sure to stay connected by subscribing to the channel.
All right, Lloyd Ashley, how's it going, mate?
Hey buddy, nice to speak to you. Nice to catch up with you. All good, my end. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's been a long time since we've played rugby together, but I think it's been a little while since we probably bumped into each other on the seafront in Portugal whilst taking a walk.
Yeah, definitely. I see your old man more than you walking down the front anyway. So no, it's definitely been a long time since we've taken the field together anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think I could keep up with your level of athleticism at the moment, so I'm glad not to be on the field with you or against you, to be honest, although I'd rather be on the field with you, because how tall are you?
6'5", unless there's any big clubs watching around the world, and I'm 6'6".
Love it. Well, mate, I want to get right into the thick of it today and start our conversation. So let's start with where we met. We met in school. Rugby was very much just a passion. And something that I noticed in you was this like absolute leadership quality, that when I was on the pitch and the ref blew the whistle, I was looking to you to lead the team. So let's start there. Like, what was it like just growing up in Wales, being a kid, playing rugby, like seeing that natural leadership quality in you? How did you take that from being a hobby to being a paycheck? How did you take the passion to paycheck?
I think in Wales we just love rugby, and that you can't get away from that. Like, I remember being really young, going to watch my cousin play and just thinking, wow, you're allowed just to smash each other as hard as you can. Everybody's got a smile on their face. Everybody's enjoying it. Like, that is what I want to do. And so I had a huge passion for it from a very, very young age. And I think all of us have put the TV on in Wales and seen Wales playing and thought, wow, I want to do that. And so it's as simple as that, for the fact of having a passion for rugby. But the leadership thing, they've probably got two things that really help. I'm a really bad loser, and that still hasn't gone now. And I suppose the loud monotone voice that everybody's getting through the microphone now, that also helps, because everybody turns to listen when they can hear the drowning out of my monotone coming across. So they're probably the two biggest things that have given me my leadership. But yeah, I hate losing. There's always been something within me, and I like to think that I've got clarity in my thought, and even when it's under pressure, I still know which way I need to go, and that means that hopefully the rest of the team knows which way we need to go as a team. So I've been very fortunate and always seen it like that. But the bad losing side of things always sticks with you, and does give you that momentum just to think, however much we've been hit back, let's just try and go forward again.
Mate, it's so funny because the two things you've listed, right, are qualities that your mum had on the sideline in abundance. She was the loudest one on the sideline, and I think out of all the parents, hated it most if we were losing and let everybody know about it. So it's funny to see that, like, in some of the other conversations I've been having, so much of success, for want of a different word, is about the foundations that you have. I think so often, when I'm sure there was times when you were like, Mum, please stop. But actually, that quality that your mum had is one of now your biggest and best qualities on the rugby rugby field. So I think that's really interesting to see your parents' foundation, paving the way for your future as a leader on the rugby pitch. The other thing I noticed in like yourself and some of the other guys that went on to play rugby as a career is obviously the talent set you apart, but also the sacrifice that you were willing to take compared to the rest of us wannabes. Tell me a little bit about that sacrifice. Like, what did that look like? How has that helped shape your future?
I think I was lucky. I think if you're bigger than most people, you tend to do all right in school rugby. The same. When we were a bit bigger than everybody else, it was that little bit easier to get through the tackles, to make your tackles. But when you get a little bit older and you realise that that's just not enough, and you're not big enough, so it's those sacrifices. I remember going to Ospreys in the 16s, so I was 15 or so, and going there, getting weighed in for the first time, checking your fitness, and I was like, wow, I'm just nowhere near it where I need to be. And I might be a good enough rugby player, but that isn't good enough to get me where I need to be. And at that point, I just thought, right, just train as much as you can when you're not there. Do everything you can. And then I was lucky. I went from after school, Puthgall Comp, I went to Bridgend College, and there was a great coach there called Gareth Nicholas, and he was head of rugby in the college. And I had just been released from Wales under 16s, never got a cap, and got released. And then he said to me, if you follow the pathway exactly how I tell you to the next 2 years, you'll be Wales 18s by the end of 2 years. I was like, right, it's 2 years, let's just give it a go. So I just put everything into that for 2 years. And in fairness, the end of the first year, I managed to get picked for Wales 18s a year early, and then managed to captain Wales 18s the year after. And I thought, cheers for that, I appreciate that, mate. And sometimes you just need somebody to give you a bit of direction. And like you said, it is funny that, my mum's a bad loser as well, and she's loud, but it's funny, the only people she'd shout for was everyone except me. So I probably heard her shout for everyone else and thought, right, I need to shout to everyone else to keep them going now as well then.
No, it's good. I remember a friend of mine used to say, if I gave you a hammer and a nail and I told you to hit that nail for 4 years, and at the end of it, you'd be a millionaire, would you do it? And it's like, I think everybody would say yes, but only a few people would actually hit that nail every day for 4 years. And it's so similar to your coach saying, like, here's a hammer and a nail. If you do exactly what I tell you for X amount of years, you will meet your goal. And I think it's like, I'm certainly not a professional rugby player. I would have loved to have been, but I wasn't prepared to get in the gym like you were. I wasn't prepared to make the sacrifices that you were. And it just reminds me, for like all of our lives, no matter what walk of life we're in, it takes the sacrifice, it takes the hard work. There's a hammer, a nail. Are you prepared to hit it to reach your goal? And I think it's such an important lesson that you obviously learned at such a young age.
I think the big thing as well is you realise that even if it's hitting the hammer for hitting the nail for 4 years, that even when you become a millionaire, there's still sacrifices you have to make.
Yeah.
So like, even as a professional athlete, I remember signing my first academy contract and thinking, wow, this is amazing. And then you realise then when you get into that professional environment, how far off it you are again, and then how much more you need to do. And I think if you don't carry on realising that, you become stagnant and not wanted and not needed in a professional environment anymore. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that if you've managed to make it there, that is just the start of it, making it there. Yeah. The rest is your chance to prove yourself every single day. Be as good as you possibly can every single day. Hopefully take one little thing out of every day to make you a better professional rugby player. And then that equates to life, and not just as a rugby player. Hopefully you take those things on, and a lot of sports people have been successful off the field because they are willing to make those sacrifices, and they might have some bad days in between, but they'll come back at it. They know they need to graft because they've been there, they've won, they've lost in the past, they've been deselected, been given bad news, had injuries, and known they've just needed to fight back. And I think that's such an important part of for me, rugby, but for elite sport, because there is plenty of times, even when you get to the top, that there's people saying to you, you're not quite good enough. There's performances and you look at yourself and you think, oh, maybe I'm not quite good enough. Or it's injuries and you think, my body's not where I need it to be. So there's lots of things that do set you back, but that resilience behind and the support network around you is so important, whether it's your foundations of your parents, whether it's the people you meet on the journey, whether, like for me, my wife, my best mate who was in school with us, Morgan, like having people around you, surrounding yourself with really good people is really, really important. I'm lucky now to not only have my family, but to have my wife's family support me all the time. And those things are so important. When you do get knocked back, you're able to have a look around you. There's honest people there. There's not just people saying, oh, no, you're brilliant, do the best thing ever. Because it's like, no, I realize I'm not. But they're able to say to you, right, it might be 6 months out with an injury, but you're going to come back, you can be a bit better. But let's make the most of this time that you're not playing as well. So just surrounding yourself as well with good people. You don't make it anywhere. I think a lot of people who haven't quite made it today, who've had all the talent in the world, probably haven't had the people around them that I've been fortunate enough to have around me.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's a humble reminder for everybody, no matter what they're aiming for, that like you can reach the top of the mountain, as you said. Like you can hit the hammer and the nail for 4 years, get the £1 million, and you get the £1 million, and you're like, actually, I'm not as happy as I thought I was going to be, or I got the million, but I've injured myself, or we're still losing as a team. There's all these different things that you've just highlighted that even in the, whether it's grades in school or starting a career or whatever it may be, you can get to what you thought was the top of the mountain and you look around and it can be a lonely place, or it can be still like just not what it was cracked up to be. And so that kind of brings us on to mental health, right? Like when you're at the top of the mountain, you got to have that team around you, that network around you, to make sure that your mental health is right. You're now an advocate for mental health. You've got your new organization that you've set up. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Like what are some things you learn out of playing team sports, being in a rugby team, that are positively impacting your mental health today?
That's the biggest thing, having a team. Like, wow, it's so important for me, and like I've loved every bit of it. And I think that anybody who's not part of a team in any way it's harder being on your own to fight any of those challenges and overcome those challenges. And I always think we talk about saying getting to the top of the mountain. Everybody will take a different path to the top of the mountain. And that's important to realize as well for everybody. So some people in a professional environment might have just got straight there. Other people might have had a rocky road together. And it's important to learn to get to know people, to take things out of other people's journeys, to learn from yourself and to appreciate. And that's why I've set up Living Well with Lloyd Ashley. And it's around mental health, men speaking, people's individuals' well-being, workplaces' well-being, and just creating more positive environments, making small life choices that just make better impact on your well-being for yourself and everybody around you. I think that's so important. If we all started speaking about what we actually feel and what we actually go through and the things that do benefit us, we'd learn a lot from each other.
100%. I think something I'm really learning to value in my late 20s, almost 30, is what you just said, that team mentality, and also asking the simple but hard questions as guys. How are you doing? And then when they answer no, honestly. I had a friend that would go on a walk with his mate and they'd say, how are you doing? And he'd let his friend speak. And then he'd ask him, now what you just said, which of that was a lie? And like, let's actually don't give me the BS, don't give me the rubbish. Actually, how are you feeling? I'm always thankful to be in a band and not a solo musician, because when we're on tour, we have each other to be accountable to for our behavior, to pull each other up when we're down, and just to be each other's strength when the other one's weak, So I think it's good. How have you, as a man, how have you implemented in your life some have you done anything like just being conscious to be open to friends, How have you implemented anything in your life in particular that is like, this benefits my mental health?
I did about 3 years ago now. I did an introduction to counselling course, and it was only a 12-week course, one night a week, and it was the biggest benefit I've ever had. It just made me realise that how we ask questions is really important. And if you actually understand how to ask questions, you actually understand how to answer questions. So I sit back sometimes and just ask myself some of those questions. I sit down and have a chat to my wife and like ask her openly, honestly, how she is, what's going on between us, things like that. And at times I miss it. I'm not saying I'm perfect, and there's times where I bury my head under the sand as well. But as a general, just understanding how to answer questions, but then more importantly, how to ask them and give people time. And like you were saying about your mates going for a walk together, it's mad, even though your mate's cutting them down with that, saying no need for the BS and stuff there, but somebody actually giving you time and that silence so you can actually speak and they're actually listening to you is amazing. And I've realised that. And we speak about rugby being a macho environment, which it is, and we can't get rid of that. And I would never want to get rid of a lot of what a macho environment is and how good rugby is because of that. But then there's the softer skills, the being there, being able to put an arm around somebody, going to grab a coffee with somebody when you see them down. Those are the kind of things I try to implement, and looking out for others and speaking, just being able to say that when things are tough, just be saying like, well, last couple of weeks have been tough. We had a tough season last year. We only won 2 games. So I remember sitting to boys and being like, anybody else like struggling motivation wise, because this is hard. And all of a sudden you've got 3 or 4 more boys going, yeah, mate, I'm struggling. And then it's like, right, what are we going to do this week then to make us a little bit better? So we're better for the team and then we're more positive. And then all of a sudden that impact is just has a huge impact on you, your well-being, your purpose. And then everybody else is going, oh, no, I fancy a bit of that actually. Let's get involved. So yeah, it's just having those conversations. And like I said, the introduction to counselling course was phenomenal for me, just understanding, giving people time, asking open-ended questions rather than just walking past someone and saying, you okay? And then carry on walking, or having your phone in your hand when you're speaking to somebody, not being distracted was absolutely invaluable for me moving forward.
So good. I guess it's all about being intentional, right? And just being like, you knew to ask the question, are you guys demotivated like I am? And you just said not having your phone in your hand, just asking the questions, and then on the flip side, being honest if someone asks you the questions. So it's good. I love it. Well, is there any final thoughts you'd like to give, or any words of wisdom? If not, it's been a pleasure having you.
I think it's important for people just to enjoy what they do. And if you're talking about getting all the way through, just carry on doing what you do. Just remember that whether it's a club game of rugby or a professional game of rugby, it's a game of rugby. And whatever field you're in, just remember the enjoyment's the most important thing, because it'll get you through the good times and the bad times. So just carry on enjoying. Hopefully surround yourself with as many good people as you possibly can. And people who are not just fun, like people who are good for you. They question you at times, and they're actually there for you when things do hit a little bit lower points than where you want to be. And I think just if we can surround ourselves with those people and we're open and honest with those people, it's going to be a lot better for everybody.
Awesome, mate. I love it. It's been good to hang out and catch up. I appreciate your time, man.
Mate, great to catch up with you, and good luck with everything. Hope it goes well, and hopefully catch up soon, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Take it easy, Nate. Drop out.
I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. When I look back at my time in school playing rugby with Lloyd, a couple of things stick out to me. He was committed, he was prepared to work harder than most of us, and he had leadership qualities that outshone a lot of us. It's interesting that Lloyd noted that even at the height of success, it's still important to have a firm foundation around you. It's something that we've spoken about before, but who's in your team? Who do you have around you, supporting you, questioning you, encouraging you, lifting you up and pushing you forward when times are hard? Make sure you have the team around you. Your team can be friends, family, colleagues, but whoever they are, just make sure that they are your support and foundation. Thanks for watching. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.
Hi, you still watching? You must have something better to do by now. Seriously though, thanks so much for watching today's episode from Inc. Remember, we all have those days where you feel like you don't matter, everything's going wrong, and no one is there to listen or relate. But here at Inc., you do matter. Remember, here you're included in something. You're part of a community where you are included. We want to inspire your future and bring a little bit of hope to your day. And before we wrap up, please do subscribe and stay connected to Inc. so we can continue to give you content that delivers a little bit of hope. See ya.